to the Fall Book Buzz with the Bookies. I'm Andrea Larson. I'm the Popular Services Manager at Cook Memorial Public Library District. And this is my colleague, Erica O'Rourke. And we are both so excited to talk to you about fall books, partly because fall is our favorite season.
It's the best.
It really is, because it's time for things like bonfires and pumpkin spice lattes. Yes, I know, I'm pumpkin spice all the way. Sorry to those of you who are tired of it. I still love it.
I am more like a hot cup of tea or like just a plain coffee, but fall is absolutely my favorite season because no one ever makes you feel bad about staying inside and reading when it's cold out.
100%. So fall and, well, I guess winter too, are prime reading seasons. So hence we've got some great books for you this fall.
Yeah, so fall is traditionally publishing's big season. This is when they release their big books by their most popular authors, the things they think are going to win awards. And what it means for you as the reader is that there is something for everyone, no matter what you like to read. We are so delighted to bring to you the titles that we, as readers and readers' advisors, are most excited about this season. Hi, I'm Erica O'Rourke. I'm one of the readers' advisors here at Cook Library, and I'm a huge fan of fall. Crisp air, cozy sweaters, big books. And this fall does not disappoint, especially on the book front. Here are 3 titles I'm particularly looking forward to this season. First up is Where We End and Begin by Jane Igharo. It's about a Seattle scientist who returns home to Nigeria for a friend's wedding, only to be reunited with her first love. And even though there's still plenty of chemistry and connection between them, the secrets of their past and the lives that they've built in the interim could prove to be insurmountable. I'm excited for this emotionally nuanced and complex story. It's supposed to have a great cast, richly drawn characters, and I'm very excited for the Nigerian setting. It's out September 27th. Next up is Demon Copperhead by Barbara Kingsolver. I feel like really all you need to hear is, it's the latest by Barbara Kingsolver, and you already know what you're gonna get, a gorgeously written, closely observed novel about human nature and the natural world and how those two intersect. But in case you do need a little more plot, here you go. Demon Copperhead is a modern-day retelling of David Copperfield, following a young boy's life in rural Appalachia, which is a setting I think we don't often spend much time in. At 560 pages, this one is an absolute doorstopper, but I think it's going to be well worth the time. Finally, Kevin Wilson wrote one of my favorite novels of the last few years, the utterly delightful Nothing to See Here. Now, on November 8th, he's back with Now Is Not the Time to Panic. It's the story of 2 bored teens in the 1990s who create a piece of art that becomes an urban legend. And 20 years later, a reporter tracks down one of them to get the real story. I'm so looking forward to another funny, heartfelt story about oddballs and connection and creativity. And based on what the critics are saying, Now Is Not the Time to Panic absolutely delivers.
Hello, fellow readers. My name is Jo Hansen, and I order all the ebook, adult, and young adult fiction for the library. When autumn comes, so many great books fall from the publishing sky as fast as leaves drop from the trees. I want to tell you about 3 novels coming out this fall that I am excited to read. My first pick is Shrines of Gaiety by Kate Atkinson, which will be released September 27th. You may know of Atkinson for her other historical fiction, including Life After Life, or her excellent mystery series featuring private investigator Jackson Brodie. In Shrines of Gaiety, Atkinson transports readers to the Roaring Twenties in London, where Brits are still recovering from the Great War. Londoners wanting a bit of fun flock to the 5 illegal nightclubs operated by Nellie Corker in the fashionable Soho district. Starlets and politicians rub elbows with gangsters and dignitaries in these popular dens of iniquities. Nellie, who is based on a real person, is ambitious and ruthless as she tries to set up her 6 children into her business empire. But alas, there are forces trying to destroy her enterprises, including the relentless Detective Chief Inspector John Frobisher. Shrines of Gaiety has received starred reviews from Publishers Weekly, Booklist, and Kirkus. The portrait of London's Jazz Age will appeal to fans of historical and literary fiction. My second pick is The Hero of this book by Elizabeth McCracken, which comes out October 4th. I chose this title because I really enjoyed McCracken's last novel, Bowl Away, about 3 generations of New Englanders running a candlepin bowling alley. Reviewers are having a hard time categorizing the hero of this book. It kind of reads like a biography of Elizabeth McCracken's beloved, larger-than-life mother, Natalie, who died in 2018 at the age of 83. McCracken says it is a novel, even though the character Natalie is so much like her mother, and the narrator is a lot like Elizabeth McCracken. 10 months after the unnamed narrator's mother dies, she travels to London, one of her mother's favorite hangouts. The narrator, who is also a writer, reflects on her mother's amazing life and their relationship. The fictional mother, Natalie, just like the real Natalie McCracken, overcomes the limitations of cerebral palsy to enjoy a full life and a successful career. It also is a moving examination of how the relationship between a child and her parents can be maddening at times, especially when the parents age. The hero of this book will appeal to fans of lyrical, character-driven novels and biographical fiction. My final book is by a new author who also is a book talk sensation. Legends and Lattes, a novel of high fantasy and low stakes by Travis Baldree, comes out November 8th. When I learned that this book is a cozy fantasy, I knew I had to read it. I love the Lord of the Rings and the Game of Thrones books, but sometimes I grow weary of the epic battles. My favorite scenes are when our heroes find themselves drinking and singing in a pub. You may not have heard of the author Travis Baldree, but he is a full-time audiobook narrator to hundreds of fantasies. In his first novel, the heroine is a battle-weary orc named Viv. She has decided to retire from decades of battles and open up the first coffee shop in the town of Thune. But soon she finds out that opening a business can be a challenge when old frenemies and new enemies try to thwart her dreams. Will she be able to continue filling mugs of Java instead of swinging swords? Fantasy author Shauna McGuire says that this story is about following your dreams, even when they take you away from who you thought you had to be. It's sweet, beautiful, and most of all, kind. Legends and Lattes should appeal to fans of T.J. Klune's The House on the Cerulean Sea. I hope this prompts a new wave of cozy fantasies. Happy autumn reading, all you bookworms!
Hello, I'm Mark Morton, Adult Services Librarian here at the Cook Library. I also order the young adult books for the collection. My first buzzworthy title is the latest young adult book from Courtney Summers, which is releasing September 13th. I'm the Girl is a spiritual successor to the author's hit book, Sadie, and it's being described as part murder mystery, part thriller, and part queer romance. It follows 16-year-old Georgia, who finds a body of 13-year-old Ashley dumped on the side of the road. She reluctantly teams up with the girl's sister, Nora, to find the killer. But when Georgia ends up landing her dream job at Aspera Resort and attempts to get close to the wealthy owners, she might learn the hard way that something insidious lurks beneath the glitz and the glamour. I'm the Girl is being called a brutal, raw account of power and privilege. It challenges the reader to ask the question, if this is the way the world is, should we accept it? Sadie was a powerful book, so I'm really looking forward to reading its successor, I'm the Girl. My second title is the latest YA book from 2-time Edgar Award finalist Lamar Giles. The Getaway is a creepy dystopian adventure that has already received a starred review from Kirkus and is set to be released on September 20th. Jay has it made working in Karloff County, a resort and theme park with high walls and high security, created to be an oasis from the troubles of the daily life. Jay is part of the staff, who waits on every need of the guests. But when society collapses and the rich and powerful start buying shares to live in the resort, Jay and his friends find themselves ensnared in a post-apocalyptic theme park and will have to risk everything to save themselves and their way of life. This is being described as great for fans of Jordan Peele and Richard Matheson, while taking on themes of power, privilege, class, and complicity and violence. This scary dystopian novel will be a chilling read for a gloomy fall night. I hope you will join me as we embark on the getaway. My final book also received a starred review from Kirkus. It's the newest book from American Indian Youth Literature Award and Prince Honor recipient Eric Gainsworth, due out November 1st. My Good Man is a coming-of-age tale that reviewers are calling timeless, riveting, and indispensable. Set in 1992, it follows 25-year-old Brian, the only Indigenous worker, at a small-town newspaper. Brian is tasked with the duty of reporting on crime at the nearby reservation. In this role, he often feels pressured to write stereotypical stories of his people and community, causing Brian to straddle the line between the white world and staying true to his Indigenous culture. But when an assault victim on the reservation has an unexpected connection to Brian, this is an issue that he will have to face head-on. The novel spans 2 decades, giving insight into Brian's childhood on the reservation. Parts of the story are told through poetry, news articles, and the author's own original artwork, making this a truly unique coming-of-age tale. Though marketed as a young adult book, this book should also appeal to adults who have nostalgia for the 80s and the 90s, like this adult right here. I really enjoy learning about Indigenous life and culture, so I'm really excited to read this book, and I hope you check it out too.
Hi, it's Marianne Charles, your book club popular services assistant at Cook Memorial Public Library. I'm here to talk to you today for a few minutes about the 3 buzzy books I'm looking forward to reading this summer. Out already in September is The Marriage Portrait by Maggie O'Farrell. This is a lush and provocative historical fiction piece from the author of Hamnet and Instructions for a Heat Wave. It's a story of Lucretia de Medici, who faces danger when she suspects that her husband of only 1 year is trying to kill her at their country estate. Lucretia's a 3rd daughter who never expected to have to marry well and produce an heir, but unfortunately finds herself in this situation. It's the story of a woman trying to free herself from a golden cage. So if you liked Hamnet by O'Farrell, or The Matrix by Lauren Goff, or Wolf Hall by Hilary Mantel, this is the book for you. So for October, I'm going to say I really want to read Never Meant to Meet You by Ollie Frank and Asha Yeomans. Here we have a contemporary tale that's as focused on female friendship and personal growth as it is on romance. Black kindergarten and single mother Margette Lewis is determined, despite being an admitted busybody, to keep to herself this fall. But when her white Jewish neighbor's husband unexpectedly dies, and Margette winds up with her neighbor's little girl in her class, all Margette's good intentions go out the window, and she ends up finding herself involved. Then Margette meets the neighbor's handsome brother, and romance ensues and all the complications of that romance. This story, while being funny and heartwarming and just a feel-good romance, also explores the commonalities between the Black American and the Jewish American experience. So very interesting from that perspective. So again, pick up this book if you're looking for funny, sweet, and heartwarming. For November, I'm really looking forward to reading The Cloisters by Katie Hayes. This is a debut novel by this author, so think The Secret History meets The Ninth House. Anne Stillwell, our main character, arrives in New York City at the Met thinking, oh, I'm going to do a curatorial assistantship this summer. Doesn't work out that way. And instead, Anne winds up at the Cloisters, which is a Gothic museum, part of the Met, focusing on medieval art and artifacts. Anne becomes involved in researching fortune-telling, divination, and the occult, specifically a quote-unquote haunted tarot card deck. This is a tense and haunting atmospheric read that also tends to focus on women's friendships and class differences. So this is for fans, again, of The Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo, The Secret History by Donna Tartt, and The Maidens by Alex Michelides.
Hello, my name's Karen Varga. I am a bookie, and I'm also in charge of our large print collection. Today I decided to speak to you about some humorous novels, hoping that when you read them, they'll uplift your spirits and give you a chuckle. The first one coming out in September is by Christopher Buckley. You may know him for his novels Thank You for Smoking and Make Russia Great Again. His newest novel, Has Anyone Seen My Toes? His protagonist is a screenwriter from South Carolina who, after 1 year pandemic binging and regular orders from the fast food chain Hippo King, decides to finally get on his scale. He's not happy with what he sees there, and he goes to the doctor, who gives him appetite suppressants. And when they're not working, the doctor prescribes just one more pill. Suddenly, everything's going great. Ideas are flowing for his screenplay, a Nazi plot to kidnap FDR. But he seems to be distracted easily, especially by the local race for coroner, which he believes has a Russian plot to influence the voting. He seems to be slipping into fantasies, and his wife believes he's losing his mind. Full of laughs on every page, this may be one of Buckley's best, recommended for fans of Gary Steingart or Joan Didion. This next novel has been described as Indian matchmaking meets date night. It's called Partners in Crime, a novel by Alicia Ray, and it's coming out in October. This is a romantic comedy adventure. Mira has finally decided it's time to settle down and meet a man. She's even hired a matchmaker. Her first match is Naveen. They could be the perfect couple. They seem to be hitting it off, but she's not really sure. But it doesn't really matter because they're thrown together anyways. Mira's aunt dies and Naveen is the lawyer handling the estate. Throw in a mysterious note, $10 million necklace stolen from a crime lord, a kidnapping, and some sizzling hot sex scenes. And this is an action-packed mashup that's just right for fans of Stephanie Ivanovich or Joya Ryan. Have you read The Calculating Stars, Hugo, Nebula, and Locust Award winner by Mary Robinette-Kaut? If so, you're very likely going to enjoy her next book, The Spare Man, coming out in October. This is a comedy sci-fi mystery set in space. It starts with a honeymoon on a luxury intergalactic cruise liner. The main character, Tesla Crane, is a brilliant inventor and heiress who's traveling incognito with her almost as famous husband, Shal, who's a retired detective. When Shal stumbles upon a murder, the bumbling onboard security decides that he's the prime suspect. So it's up to this couple to find the murderer and solve the case. This is filled with snarky banter, red herrings, and suspense, and it's perfect for fans of Naomi Novik or Jack Wang.
Hi, I'm Andrea Larson, Popular Services Manager at Cook Memorial Public Library District. And my first book for you today is called Killers of a Certain Age by Deanna Rayborn, released on September 6th. It's part of a trend these days toward crime stories that focus on characters who are, well, of a certain age. Think the Thursday Murder series by Richard Osman. In this book, 4 women in their 60s have been sent on an all-expenses-paid retirement cruise. Sounds great, right? But there's a catch. There's an assassin on the ship, and the women are the targets. However, they are not going to be sitting ducks because they are all also assassins originally trained to kill Nazis, and they swing into action to save themselves. This is a fast-paced, rollicking thriller, and I can't wait to dive in. My second book for the fall is completely different. If I Survive You is a book of linked short stories by Jonathan Escoffery. I'm not generally a big short story reader, but this one intrigues me because it reads like a novel. The stories all center on the experiences of a family that emigrates from Jamaica to Miami in the 1970s. The main narrator, Trelawney, questions his Jamaican, U.S., and racial identities as he struggles to get by in a country where the deck is stacked against him. He goes to college in the Midwest, is homeless for a time, and has to work some strange jobs while always trying to gain the respect of his father and older brother. I'm excited for this book because it examines cultural identity with nuanced writing, humor, and a rich sense of place. My third book that I'm excited about this fall, due out on October 4th, is the latest novel from celebrated author Celeste Ng. Our Missing Hearts is the story of 12-year-old Bird, whose Chinese-American mother vanished 3 years ago, and whose white father, a former Harvard professor, now shelves books in the university library. Bird wants to figure out why his mother abandoned him, but he must lie low in the wake of the PACT, or Preserving American Cultures and Traditions Act, which opposes foreign cultural influences. In this dystopian tale, children are taken from their families, anti-Asian sentiment is rampant, and violent protests are taking place. But against this frightening backdrop, Ng creates a beautiful story of unbreakable family bonds. If you liked Margaret Atwood's The Handmaid's Tale, this is a book that will also resonate with you. Happy fall and happy reading!